Coming up on today's show, Digital Design with a surprise release of their Salzburg scenery. FSFX packages with their long-awaited 737 Immersion pack. And ORBX finally releasing their Southern California region. All this and more on January's episode of SIMCAST. So, I bet the question on the majority of people's minds is, what on earth is SIMCAST? Well, let me tell you. I've been wanting to do a sort of podcast news show for the past year and a half, and I've never really gotten round to it. I don't believe in substandard editing, I don't believe in low production value, and basically, I just wouldn't want to put something out there that I wouldn't watch myself. So, SIMCAST, as it said in the intro, is, well, all about me selfishly. It's my piece of the internet where I can go about sharing my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings towards different things within the simming world, and hopefully deliver some facts and some news along the way. Now, you may brand this as a news show, you may brand this as an opinion-based show, but essentially what it is a collaboration of everything in one place, rounding up the previous month's activities with my spin on things. Each SIMCAST episode will be released on a monthly basis, around the middle of each month. Each SIMCAST episode will be referencing everything that's happened in the previous month, so if something has happened recently within the first 2 weeks of the current month you're watching, then it's not going to be included. For example, this is January's edition. It actually covers December's news and everything that happened in December. I chose to do it this way because this means that there is less chance of things getting missed. Also, you'll notice in the disclaimer, all of the news articles that are featured throughout the month come directly from Flight Sim Central, which without them, the show would quite frankly not be possible. At the end of each episode, I'll be conducting a Q&A session where all of the questions from the previous videos will be answered, or maybe a select few. And also, for each individual episode, there will be giveaways at the end of the video with full information on how you can take part. I also have a website to go along with the SIMCAST episode. This is available at simcast.net, where everything that's been discussed in the episode is available to view on the website. So, I hope that's covered everything. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the video comments below, or you can send me an email using the address hello@simcast.net. Okay, back to the show. Let's face it, digital design. Who saw that coming? Because I certainly didn't. They decided to randomly throw out the release of Salzburg about a week and a half after showcasing some previews of it. Digital Design are the people that made the Innsbruck scenery. They also made some Moscow scenery too. And if you have any of those, you'll know that they do not shy away when it comes to detail. The feature list for Salzburg is pretty extensive, but one thing I am glad about is that for the prepared users, especially if you've upgraded to version 3.1, they now have the reflections included if you are in wet conditions such as rain. Price-wise, well, it's an absolute steal. It's on Sim Market at the moment for just under €25, which works out at about £18-19 for us in the UK. And if you live over in the States and dollars is your thing, then it's just under $27, and that includes VAT. Now, I've had this scenery since release. I bought it, and it's fantastic. I will say, if you are using Active Sky Next and you decide to fly into Salzburg with low visibility, then you may see some erroneous shading and shiny textures when you come close to the airport. It's a bit strange. They seem to clear up as you get a little bit closer, but going from a kind of downwindish leg on to final, the airport was very shiny for me, and I could see straight through the visibility. Not quite sure why that happens, but it does. Either way, I can sort of forgive it. Also, just like Innsbruck, they also modelled the surrounding area, including the local city centre. Like with a lot of featureless digital design, proclaimed that it is friendly on FPS, and also has a very low VAS footprint. Well, they're not lying, because it does. It's fantastic. Next up is the FSFX Packages 737 Immersion. Now, I'm going to say this is probably the most hyped up add-on thus far from FSFX. The 777 was, but then everyone found out how good that was. Then they moved to the Airbus, and then they moved to the NGX. Now, if you look on their website, it does say that the 737 from PMDG is incontestably the most popular aircraft of all time. And, well, I have to agree. It seems to be the one that everyone goes back to regardless. So having an immersion pack for the NGX was an extremely wise move. I'm pretty confident that 99% of you already have it, but if you don't, it's available from their website for $27. That works out at about the same price as Salzburg, actually, which is about £18 in the UK and about €23 elsewhere. As always with effect packages, people are constantly worried about performance, but I can tell you from using pretty much every package that they offer, FPS, performance, VAS is not an issue. It just seems to work very, very well. It's extremely well optimized, and it gives you sometimes a little bit over the top when it comes to effects, but by majority, it's an extremely pleasant experience. Also, the volumetric lighting out the front window when you're landing at night is just insane. With the 737, they've also got a new VFX Central. I don't think this works with the A320 and the 777. However, they seem to be doing what ORBX is doing and bringing all of their products into one place, making the installation process extremely simple, which is what I like. It's very innovative, it's a very clean design, and, well, it works. Also, as a plus for everyone that uses FSX and or Prepared, it works on both platforms, and you don't have to buy it twice. It's also DirectX 10 ready for those of you who decide to use FSX in DirectX 10 mode. ORBX are back again with the SoCal or Southern California release. Their newly released region is available at the moment for $36, €33. And whatever the equivalent is in pounds, about £27. Covers 140,000 square miles, or if you want to convert that, 365,000 square kilometers. The chances are, if you're after getting SoCal, you've already got FTX NorCal, which again is fantastic. However, I do have issues with NorCal and FPS issues with San Francisco, sadly. But apparently a lot of other people don't. It's a bit weird. Half of the people I speak to say that they do, the other half say they don't, so maybe there's some inconsistency with settings across the board that I'm not sure. However, if you do own NorCal and you get SoCal, they work together like a dream. Of course, as with every FTX region that ORBX release, you have things like custom autogen, you've got the 3D night lighting effects, which I kind of replace with tabaret lights, but still, if you don't have those, they look great. Of course, you have placement of accurate roads and rivers and lakes, and apparently power lines as well, although I'd love to actually see someone go out there and see how accurate those power lines actually are. Comes with 365 airports. Well, not really. They kind of upgraded from the default airports. However, they all have a bit of an ORBX twist, so you'll find that they don't really look that default, but they're not exactly high quality at the same time. But 365 of them for under $40, I guess we can't complain. Of course, there's custom models of bridges, dams, lighthouses, you name it, whatever visual reference points you need, ORBX have you covered. They also have photoreal beaches and marinas, and also they have decided to enhance San Diego's waterfront and also downtown San Diego. Continuing their enhancement of San Diego, they've also added 17 additional landmark buildings, and across the whole region, 50 photoreal natural and industrial areas, which I guess if you're a local resident would be of interest to you. Sadly not to me, because, well, I'm not local. PMDG are back with an update of their 747 version 2. I'm not quite sure how many more updates it's going to take before we actually get hold of the thing. However, they have released some information about it. The biggest bit of information is that they have done something with the VAS. And by done something, I mean they have decreased the VAS footprint of not just the 747, but also the 777 as well. If you have the 777, you may be aware that an update came out for it, which reduces the VAS by, I think they said 240 meg, something like that, 240, 250 meg, which especially for those people who fly in FSX is a massive thing. It means that you can fly from A to B, especially on those long haul flights, with a little less anxiety that your flight sim's going to run out of memory. Sadly, there aren't any photos of the 747-800 yet, apparently that's to follow, but the previews so far of the 747-400 look pretty promising. Next up, Taxi to Gate released their Munich scenery, and I guess this is another long-awaited scenery for Munich. The last one we had was from AEROSOFT, and it's extremely outdated, although for its time was extremely good. Now, I've used the Taxi to Gate Munich scenery in a couple of my streams and a couple of my videos, and I have to say it is very, very good. Although, I get a problem with performance when I look in a certain area. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with the scenery or the surrounding area, but it's extremely annoying. However, for the price of €24, I am exceptionally happy with it. Again, that's about the same price as Salzburg, and of course, the same price as FX packages 737. Everything seems to fall in this sort of between 22 and €25 bracket, unless of course you're ORBX and you're modeling 375 airports, or whatever the number was. Features to name a few, well of course they have custom ground textures and the photo scenery. They've also got custom mesh, hand-placed autogen, full detail on the buildings, terminal interior. Let me just make a point about that. The terminal interior, although is modeled, it seems to be that there is a lot of repeating textures. If you watch my video that I did with Paul and we flew out of Munich, Giorgio Armani had an array of stores on the top floor of the terminal and also on the middle floor of the terminal as well, which was quite amusing. Unless Germans legitimately have a fetish for Giorgio Armani, I'm not quite sure why he needs so many bloody shops. The night lighting on it is pretty spectacular. Of course, they have volumetric grass. That was difficult to say. They also have moving jetways, which is great. You don't need AES for these things to move if you're using FSX, and the great thing about it is if you're in prepared, well, you don't need AES because it's not actually compatible with prepared, so yeah. Please, developers, don't do that. It's really annoying when people limit your options based upon what simulator you use. Not cool, not cool. As far as performance goes, well, apart from that one area that I look in that drops my frames to 5, everywhere else is absolutely beautiful. VAS being excellent also, considering the size of the airport. Okay, so that's the featured articles out the way. Now it's the part of the episode where I quick fire through all the news items in chronological order. Kickstarting the first week off in December, we had ORBX release WELSHPOOL Echo Golf Charlie Whiskey. This merges extremely well for the users of FTX England. Next up, BDO Aviation, if that's how you pronounce it, released BALI for FSX, FSX Steam Edition, and Prepared. Following on from that, Flightbeam have now released version 1.2 as an update for Denver, and Aeroplane Heaven released their Miles Hawk Speed 6, formerly known as the Hawk Major. On the same day as that, India Foxed, there's a T in there somewhere, Echo released their F-35 Lightning II, and then the day after, AEROSOFT released some ASPEN previews. Coming into December the 5th now, Sim Design Group, responsible for the scenery such as Cairo X and Sharm el Sheikh, released their Marsa Alam airport. Sadly, we saw no news on the 6th, but however on the 7th, CARENADO releasing previews of their upcoming CJ2. On the same day, Real World Scenery gave us a release of their Las Vegas photorealistic scenery, and that concluded the first week of December. The 8th of December kicks off with some pretty spectacular previews from ALABEO, their AZTEC preview. And then 2 in one day we have Rotate Sim with their MD80 being released for XPLANE. On December the 9th, AEROSOFT released previews of SVOLVAER, if that's how you pronounce it. And PACSIM also gave us a rather interesting update regarding the Salt Lake City scenery. Moving forward to December the 12th, a company called VOIBLU released their Charleroi Brussels airport, although whoever took those preview screenshots needs something other than a bread knife for a graphics card. And then on the 14th of December, we were treated to 3 lots of news. First being Gaia Simulations with the GENOVA update, IDS informing us that Sacramento was in its final stages of beta testing, and a classic for those of you who like to spawn in default locations, ORBX releases the Friday Harbour scenery for FSX, FSX Steam Edition, and of course, Prepared. Jumping forward to the 15th, and this is a big day for FLIGHTFACTOR, they released their 767 for XPLANE. Onto scenery, RF Scenery Building released Verona. And SX Airport Design released Nashville. The 16th of December was quite a good day for me because I got some updates on the 737 Classic, and so did you. They posted 4 new screenshots and it looks mighty awesome. On the same day, we also had news that Rex released soft clouds for FS9. Who said FS9 was still dead? Later on in the afternoon, Sim 720 stepped forward and released their Augusta scenery. And then on December the 17th, Fly Tampa updated their Copenhagen. December the 18th brought more good news for us. The FS Labs posted some brand new preview shots of their upcoming A320. And Jetstream Design, a relatively newcomer to the scenery market, releasing their Palermo scenery. Towards the end of week number 3, Simbreeze releasing Abu Dhabi. There's kind of a bit of a bland scenery, but it was long overdue. And then to finish off the week, Prepared, version 3.1. Moving into the final week of December, well, it was a bit quiet to start the week, but then CARENADO on the 24th, Christmas Eve for me, releasing previews of their SR22 for XPLANE. Shortly after that, Just Flight announced the release of their Gulf Hawk 2. And Tropical Sim finishing off the day with the release of the Fernando de Noronha scenery for FSX and Prepared. Moving on to Christmas Day, 2 updates for you. One was from AEROSOFT. They gave us updated shots of the F-14 they're making. And ORBX, well, it's not really an update, but they released CITYSCAPE Côte d'Azur. December the 26th, just a little bit later than they would have liked, Airline to Sim released their Q400 First Officer course. And then to finish the month, ORBX with the very last piece of news for 2016, releasing their Jenna, and excuse my pronunciation, Showliner Airport for FSX, FSX Steam Edition, and Prepared. Now, this part of the episode would be fantastic if I had questions to answer. Sadly, I don't. However, this is now a reminder for the next episode to make sure you put your questions in the video comments below. I'll be answering questions that are only related to either myself or simming without exception. So if you'd like to know something, if you'd like your questions answered, then by all means leave a question in the comments below, and maybe I will answer your question on the next episode of SIMCAST. As I said at the beginning, at the end of each episode, you will have the chance to win quite a varied selection of prizes. Now, the way this works is all of the products this far are digital downloads, so anyone, anywhere can win. And the way to enter is quite simple. You just visit the link below in the video description and then follow the instructions from there. There are certain things you can do on the giveaway page to increase your chances of winning. We'll always be a month behind with giveaways due to the way that the episodes are being published. So if you enter the January giveaway, which is right now, you'll only be notified in February. If you enter the February one, you'll only be notified in March, and so on and so forth. The giveaways will be relevant to that particular episode. So for example, January's giveaway is as follows. 1 copy of the FSFX Packages 737 Immersion add-on, 1 copy of the Taxi to Gate Munich scenery, 1 copy of the Digital Design Salzburg scenery, and finally 1 copy of the ORBX FTX Southern California scenery. The giveaway will start from the moment that the video for the particular episode goes live, and it will end 2 days before the scheduled release of the next month's episode. So for example, January's giveaway begins on the 16th of January at the time the video goes live, and then ends on the 11th of February at midday Zulu time. So as I've said, if you want to be in with a chance of winning, then all you need to do is visit the link below in the video description. And of course, I wish every single one of you good luck. So, that concludes episode number 1 of SIMCAST, January 2016. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, be sure to let me know. If you have any constructive criticism or changes you'd like to see made, also let me know. If you need to contact me, well, the email is on the screen right now. It's hello@simcast.net. But until February's episode, which will be February the 13th, from myself and all the guys at Flight Sim Central, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon.